Hi, thanks for watching. This book, the main character, Winston, he worked for the Ministry of Truth, and his job, well, he helped rewrite history. And this guy, he worked for the Nazi Party. He was a propaganda minister. And this is one of the many quotes attributed to this guy. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. So, were the urban legends regarding the famine walls, were they created so that they would end up being accepted as historical fact when they tried to explain the unexplainable? That's my opinion. Right. So, this is a guy who went to Ben Dirk, right? And on that day I followed the famine wall onto near the summit and then all the way along the ridge. It's a huge feature that few knows of its history and why it was built. It was built in the time of the potato famine in the 1840s, and it's a story of tragedy and man's inhumanity to man. And he goes on to say, so please, when you visit these places, please pass on the stories. And that's how it continues. Right, I won't read all this out, right, but you can pause it and read. So here's the wall that's going to cross Suilven. And I'll show you Suilven later. Right, and here's what it says. There are far more to the wild places than taking a list of mountains. Names like Destitution Road and Famine Walls are a huge part of the heritage of this area. These were such terrible times where so many left, emigrated or forced for places like America, Canada, Australia and other places. This is due to the famine and the terrible treatment of those who controlled the land. We lost so many folk that the Highlands has never recovered from it. Those who climb up Suilven will be amazed by how remote and incredibly steep it is. I cannot imagine the sheer effort to also carry or move such heavy stones which make up the destitution or famine wall that crosses the mountain. When building the wall, where did they stay? They must have camped high up at times. There are few shelters and huge walks to get to the mountains, because these mountains are in the middle of nowhere. Right, and this is part of the wall. And these are incredibly heavy stones. Right, so why were they built? The sad answer is starvation. In the 1840s and 1850s, during the Highland clearances, the people were forced from their lands by rich landowners to make way for sheep farming. Many leaving for America, Canada, Australia, etc. A potato famine struck, leaving those that were left behind starving. Too proud to beg for charity, which the rich landowners had refused anyway, they were forced to work with little or no purpose, building roads and walls in the middle of nowhere in exchange for food. These were the destitution roads and famine walls. They still exist across the Highlands to this day, a sad reminder of a blighted history. And this is the wall in question, along the top of Ben Dirk. And down here it says again, running for several miles along the east-west ridge north on Ben Dirk is another sad reminder of our past. A huge Drystone dike, in places up to 6 feet high. It was built in the 1840s during the potato famine by starving crofters in return for food. Just another monument to the harsh Highland living conditions of the time. Running for several miles. That's a lie. Right. Again, concerning Ben Dirk, Known as the Destitution Wall or Famine Wall, it was built by starving crofters during the potato famine in the mid-1840s in return for oatmeal, and stands to this day as a monument to the harsh living conditions they endured. It was presumably built to keep livestock from falling down the cliffs. Right, so in the world of Winston in 1984, this word presumably would get tagged and sent down the line, so that the next time it was printed, the word presumably would have been removed. Then it becomes a fact. Just for removing one word. And here is a more recent reminder of these stories, and this is only 2 years ago, and it's in the Sunday Post. Right, a great Drystone wall runs from the Bealach or Saloch up the eastern flank of Ben Derg, over the summit plateau and down the long west ridge. It's a phenomenal piece of engineering, constructed from blocks of stone, and in places it's almost 6 feet tall. It's known as a famine wall, and is part of the often sad history of the people who once scraped a living in the shadow of the hills where today so many spend their leisure time. The wall was built in the 1840s when disease ravaged the potato crops in Ireland, and perhaps as less well known, the Highlands. Starving crofters were put to work on projects like Ben Derg's famine wall in return for a handout of food. Often the works had no practical purpose. The idea was those in the seat of charity had to do something to earn their handout. And so far, this is the only phrase that's true. It's a phenomenal piece of engineering, constructed from blocks of stone and in places almost 6 feet tall. Now, that's the thing about Drystone walls. They are not haphazardly placed piles of stones. No, they were not gathered from the fields and just placed together. They are engineered. These are designed. That's why they last so long. Right, first of all, I'll show you these mountains in question. Now, I fully intended going here myself this summer, but getting 2 days, which it would take, and the weather just never seemed to coincide. But I will try next year. So it's a 3-hour drive, but you go up by Loch Lomond, through Glencoe, up the Great Glen, the length of Loch Ness. So it's a nice drive. Anyway, so the mountains are up here near Ullapool. Now, first of all, we'll have a visit at Ben Derg. You can see these are pretty high mountains, and I'll show you in a minute. And you can see here the elevation, right? So the wall that these people apparently built, it actually starts here, and it goes along the crest of the mountain, then takes a sharp turn, and 2 more sharp turns, and then goes down to this loch. Right, may not get a better view. It's better seen from the north. So it's a 3-hour hike to get up here. Right, and that's for somebody with average health. So it starts here and goes right along the ridge, and it's in case the blind sheep fall across the ridge or something. That's insane, even suggesting that. So there's a couple of zigzags on it and a few straight, a few corners and stuff. But the bit I'm interested in is where it goes down the hill, because I have a hard time trying to understand building a drystone wall down a hill. The only way I can see it happening is if you build it up the hill, right? Now, that's quite a steep hill, so I don't think you can build stones, dry stones, down a hill. And I think then that the walls that we see that go over hills, I'm guessing they started at either side and met in the middle. It's the only thing that makes sense. Right, so let's see how far it is. Remember that guy said it was at several miles? Right, let's see how many miles it is. Over here. That's just over 2 miles. So how can you mistake that for several miles? Because you say several, you're thinking maybe 5 or 6 or something. So slight exaggeration for the blogger, the holiday blogger. So this is the wall that these peasants apparently built, right? Now, as I said earlier on, they're not just piles of stones haphazardly piled up and all of a sudden there's a wall there. No. They were built by people who knew what they were doing. They'd be called journeymen. A journeyman is somebody who's perfecting his craft, and that's what these wall builders must have been doing. Right, so this is Ben Dirk, right? So they have an endless supply of labour apparently, and they make them build a wall in the middle of nowhere. They don't build a hospital or a school or a house, no. Let's just make them build a wall. So I think it's a load of nonsense. So now I'll show you Suilven. Right, so it's just north of there. Right, there you go. Right. This is Suilven. I'll give you a better look shortly, but the wall over the crest of Suilven is up here. And it comes down here. Really? Peasants done that? No. That's not what happened. But I'll show you a better view of that. Right. I'll show you a short clip for this video from the Great Outdoors channel, and I'll put a link in the description. So right now you're facing west. This is the steep south facing slope, and this is the highest point in the mountain. So let it run for a bit. So is this about a massive tree remains? That's for another video. But look how steep this is, and how they can even suggest that these people built this wall over this is unbelievable. I mean, that's a hard climb at the best of times. So no, I'm not buying it. And there's something else you see with this wall that helps explain what I was trying to say earlier about going up both sides of the wall, or both sides of the hill, for the wall to meet. And you can see the wall there, right? This is the south facing side of the mountain. Right. And now it's heading east, and this is the north side of the mountain. And I'm finding it really difficult, considering people building a wall up there. And you can see the wall just here. But there's something strange about it, because it don't meet the other side, which is over here. Now I'll give you a better look at this wall. Now over here is the steep south facing slope, and this is the north slope. Now you can see the wall going vertically up the hill. But then, for some reason, it goes, well, I say, several yards horizontally before continuing vertically, I think, to meet the other wall that was coming for the other side. So no, I'm not buying peasants done that. And there's nothing, not a trace below there, which itself seems a bit strange. Now we'll have a look at the workforce. Ireland. Peasantry seizing the potato crop of an evicted tenant in Kerry. So let's remember this, the potato famine lasted for 7 years, apparently. Started in 1845 and continued to 1852. So that's a hell of a time to go without your staple diet. Apparently the whole population lived off potatoes, nothing else. Right, so I can see these people carrying big rocks all over a mountain after walking 3 hours to get there. Seen it working? No. And they show you how bad it is, or how bad it was, when this guy is sitting eating a shoe. Really? So I'm not seeing these people building walls anywhere. Although this guy has got a wall. Right. And this is a famine in Ireland, a funeral. Right, but the thing about this sketch is, right, the artist is, these proportions, I mean, his proportions are all wrong here. I mean, he's correct in the size of these people for the distance, but these two dudes here are standing right next to him. They're sharing the same shadows, yet look at the size of the heads. Why would he portray that? Why would he? It's no mistake. That's deliberate. Is it deliberate to take the piss out the Irish? I have no idea. Or was there people like that in Ireland? Again, I have no idea. This is a tourist trap in Donegal in Ireland, and they say it's a tourist trap because they're calling it Famine walls. Now, the sheer size of these things brings it up for question, and I mean they're massive. They're maybe like 12 feet high. And the other thing that brings up for question is apparently the Irish peasants had the time to mix up mortar to put between the stones. So, like I say, it's a tourist trap. It was built in the past, but not built by peasants, and you can see here what we're saying about they've designed. Right, so this has been cut away, and it's exposing the design of the interior of the wall. Right, this bit's been repaired, but it's definitely got mortar, so I don't think it's anything to do with the peasants or anything else. I think it's to do with tourism. Now let me show you a map that suggests that the wall along the ridge in Benderg was, or could have been, a boundary marker, or the remains of a boundary marker. Right, I'll show you what I mean. Right, so let's get to Benderg. Right, on the right you'll see what we've seen before. Right, where the sharp corners. Right, now on the older map from 1885, that's not on the edge, it's moved up to the summit. Right, but what I mean by boundary marker is it continues from this loch up the southern mountain, and whereas the wall continues right along the crest, this dotted line goes down to the glen. So what part of the wall played, I have no idea, but I just found it was pretty strange. If this dotted line represents a wall, then why does it go down the glen? And whereas if it was representing the wall, it would be at least to here, where the wall starts. But no. Right, so while I've got this map up, let's have a look at Suilven. Right. So here's Suilven, and this is where the wall, here, right, this is where the wall is in Suilven. There's no mention, no marks, nothing. There's also no other boundary lines, apart from through the middle of this loch. So, what's that wall? A boundary mark? So let's look at some Drystone walls. And the place where they are most abundant anywhere on these islands is down here in Galway Bay, the Aran Islands. Or I think what's left of the Aran Islands, because I think half of them fell into the Atlantic Ocean. So I'll give you a quick slideshow, because while I'm on this debunking journey of the mainstream narrative, I've got something else I'd like to debunk. Now, the mainstream narrative's explanation for the existence of these drystone walls, as they say, because the farmers, and I'm presuming their families as well, helped them, and they cleared the fields of all the stones to make way for agriculture and livestock farming. Now, if they were just clearing the fields, then why would you see the walls like here? They are all different shapes and sizes, they are all over the place, and they are absolutely no good for agriculture or any kind of farming. Right, now, if they were just piles of stones collected by the farmers, then I think we will see more of this rather than the perfect designed walls that we're seeing all over the place. And if you piled all the stones and all the walls on the island of, I think it's IMHO, the largest of the islands, then you would build a pile of stones half the size of the Great Pyramids on Giza Plateau. That's how many stones there are here. And it makes absolutely no sense. There's a 3-foot wall against a 6-foot wall, and this makes no sense for livestock. And the gates, I think, are our idea. We have been just adapting them to suit their needs, because they were inherited. They were not built by us at any time in our past. Again, different sizes of walls, and you can see this is a design. This is not just a pile of stones. And the thing about these islands, I don't see a lot of agriculture. I see a lot of green fields, but it's got a very, very poor soil. So there's not a lot of soil there to grow crops. And the idea of making small fields makes absolutely no sense. Again, I say the gates are just holes that we've created. And this is what I mean when I say by design. These stones here, and these stones here, they maintain the structure of the wall. That's no happenstance with a pile of stones. And the other thing I'd like to mention while I'm at it, if they were for agriculture and farming and stuff, why would you pick up the stones and make a drystone wall on an area where there is absolutely no chance of growing anything? So that makes no sense. And like I say, half the island is gone, and these walls would have probably continued on to the other half. Right. And this is the design of some of the walls. So they're not just piles of stones. This is engineering. And there's something else I'd like to point out here as well. I've mentioned in videos before where they actually shockproof. I don't mean they would stand in an earthquake, but a tremor, for example. Because this style especially, there's a foundation stone set in the earth, and some of these foundation stones are 4 feet long and half a ton. So with the design of the rest of the wall, if there was a tremor, with the weight of the wall on the foundation stone, would it like rub? I'm guessing like sandstone would be created, which would react like ball bearings, and the wall would move. Not much, but enough to save it from falling down. Right. Well, thanks for watching. Please comment,